Welcome to Listworthy's explanation of the psychological horror film Flatliners, which is about 5 medical students that conduct experiments that produce near-death experiences. But things predictably go wrong as they start getting haunted by something scary from the other side. The plot is kick-started by Courtney, a medical student who 9 years earlier had been driving in a car with her little sister Tessa. She got distracted by her phone. They got into an accident that caused the car to fall off the bridge and into the water below. She survived the ordeal, but her sister drowned, and since that event, she has been obsessed with death and the idea of the afterlife. One day, she invites fellow medical student Jamie to join her in an unused part of the hospital. Jamie misunderstands and thinks he is being invited for a hookup. Courtney also invites her friend Sophia, who is struggling with med school and has a super controlling and demanding mother. When Jamie and Sophia show up, Courtney tells them about the experiment she wants to conduct. She tells them that she wants them to stop her heart for 60 seconds using a defibrillator while recording her brain activity. Jamie and Sophia both think she's crazy, but Courtney assures them that if anything goes wrong and they fail to revive her, they will not be held responsible, and that she had already signed a release stating as much. Sophia is still against Courtney's idea, but Jamie goes ahead and stops her heart. After 60 seconds, Jamie and Sophia fail to revive her and start to panic. As they panic, Courtney has an out-of-body experience and goes on an afterlife trip. In another part of the hospital, medical student Ray gets an urgent text message from Sophia asking for help. Ray rushes right over and is able to help Jamie and Sophia resuscitate Courtney. Ray's rival, Marlo, who is another medical student, follows Ray to the unused room and learns of the experiment. In the days that follow, Courtney begins to recall memories of past events, such as her grandmother's recipe for bread, is able to recall several pages worth of passages from medical books, experiences increased intelligence and euphoria. She is also able to play the piano after 12 years and answer questions in class perfectly. An envious Jamie decides he'll flatline next, and wanting to one-up Courtney, he says he wants to flatline for 2 minutes instead of just 60 seconds. When he does, he goes on an afterlife trip in which he is riding his motorcycle with his ex-girlfriend and basically having the time of his life. But his trip becomes dark and disturbing, and his ex-girlfriend disappears into thin air. When he comes back, he also experiences euphoria, and he and Courtney start to vibe and connect. He also experiences increased intellect and performs his job flawlessly at the hospital. Marlo flatlines next, but the last moments of her trip are even scarier than Jamie's. Under pressure from her mother, Sophia also flatlines on the same night as Marlo in order to improve her academic performance. During her flatline, the gang is almost caught by the hospital staff, but they manage to resuscitate Sophia in time and escape. The whole gang, except Ray, buzzes with post-flatline euphoria and they go to a party. At the party, Courtney hallucinates and sees a disturbing image of her dead sister, but she tells nobody about her troubles. Sophia leaves the party with Jamie and has loud intercourse with him at her house while her mother bangs at her door. After Jamie leaves, a newly emboldened Sophia firmly tells her mother that she is moving out and taking charge of her own life. Elsewhere, after Ray escorts Marlo home, she opens up to him and confesses that she caused the death of a patient when she gave him the wrong medication. Ray comforts Marlo and the two rivals end up sleeping together. In the days that follow, those who flatlined experience visions. Courtney is haunted by her sister Tessa. Jamie is haunted by his ex-girlfriend and the baby he told her to abort after he got her pregnant. Marlo is haunted by Cyrus, the man who died when she mixed up his medication, and Sophia is haunted by a girl named Irina, whose life she ruined out of jealousy by hacking her phone and sending out her nudes to their entire high school, which allowed Sophia to have an edge over her and become valedictorian. Courtney, traumatized by her visions, records a message to her friends, apologizing for the consequences, and admitting that her interest in flatlining was due to the death of her sister, not for scientific discovery. Courtney has a violent encounter with her sister's ghost. She tries to run away from her apartment, but she falls to her death when her sister's ghost pushes her off the fire escape of her building. The others are devastated when they learn of Courtney's death, but quickly realize that they may be implicated if anyone discovers their unethical experiments. After attempting to remove all notes and evidence from Courtney's apartment, Marlo is sent to the morgue to retrieve her phone. While at the morgue, she is once again haunted by the patient that died because of her. On his boat, Jamie hears the cries of a baby and a woman weeping. He is so freaked out by his vision, he falls out of his boat. When he swims to the dock, the figure of his ex-girlfriend stabs his hand. The group watches Courtney's recorded message and find out she was similarly afflicted with hauntings. They each come clean about their past mistakes to each other and come to the conclusion that the hauntings they are experiencing are hallucinations brought on by guilt from their sins, not paranormal beings or ghosts, because Jamie's ex-girlfriend and Sophia's high school rival are still alive. The group takes action to stop the hallucinations by fixing their past mistakes. Sophia seeks out Irina to apologize and Irina forgives her. Jamie visits his ex-girlfriend and discovers she didn't get an abortion but kept the baby. He apologizes and promises to provide for his son. Ray and Marlo get into a fight when Ray discovers that Marlo covered up her dead patient's real cause of death and never came clean about her mistake. Marlo's hauntings become worse when she hallucinates she is being suffocated while driving and crashes her car. Desperate to stop the hauntings, Marlo flatlines on her own in the hope of asking for forgiveness from her dead patient Cyrus. Ray, Sophia, and Jamie rush to stop her, but they are too late as she already stopped her heart. In her flatline trip, Marlo tries to apologize to Cyrus, but things don't go so well for her. But just before the gang resuscitates her, Marlo sees a vision of Courtney, who tells Marlo that she needs to forgive herself. Days after her resuscitation, Marlo confesses her mistake to the dean and is put on probation instead of getting expelled from med school. Later, Marlo, Ray, Sophia, and Jamie reminisce about Courtney, give a toast in her honor, and celebrate their friendships in the little restaurant they used to hang out in. The movie then ends with them hearing a performance of the piano piece that Courtney played. I give this movie a generous watchability rating of 6.5 out of 10. Critics were less generous than I was when it was released, and I get where they are coming from. This movie was advertised as a horror, but it failed to deliver on the actual horror and scares, despite the abundance of ghostly hauntings that turned out not to be hauntings at all, but hallucinations caused by our protagonist's guilty conscience. So in that context, this movie totally deserves the hate it got. But if you forget that it was supposed to be a horror and take it as it is a pretty decent watch. I will, however, say that this movie did itself no favors with the repetitiveness of the flatlining and subpar hauntings. The premise of the movie was fun and interesting, but I can't help but feel that it could have been so much more if the writers and filmmakers had put in a little more effort. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button, leave a like or comment, and check out some of my other content.